And just like that, we're back. This Life Ain't For Everybody. We're coming at you again with a really badass episode, another Major League Baseball episode, another World Champion Dodgers episode with one of their aces. Brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. Enjoy it responsibly. Never allow underage drinking. Thank you, Jack Daniel's. I often enjoy a Jack Daniel's while I'm watching this man pitch. I was enjoying a Jack Daniel's watching this man pitch against the Cincinnati Reds just a couple nights ago. Walker Buehler, what's up, my brother?
Chilling, man, out here in Milwaukee. We're just trying to get back on track. We've been struggling a little bit, but it's part of the deal. You play 162 of them, so you're not going to win all of them.
I saw last night was what, 2-1, 1-run game. That's a pitcher duel right there. Yeah,
it was a good one. Trevor, our new guy, threw the ball really well, and sometimes it's a 1-run game, and you're on the wrong side of it.
Let me ask you something about specifically where you sit right now. Is it one of the nicer parks in the National League? Because the Brewers brag on it a lot. They have great baseball tradition there. The Miller Lite commercials, Bob Uecker, he was in the movie Major Leagues. He was in that franchise of the movies. He's known as a very nice man, a very good baseball person. Is it a cool atmosphere up there, Milwaukee? And do you enjoy Miller Field, Miller Park?
Yeah, you know what? One of the first memories of the first time that I was here a lot was 2018 in the playoffs, and obviously that was a pretty cool atmosphere. So, kind of when that's your first impression or your first real thing you remember, it's hard not to enjoy that kind of deal. And no, it is a cool park. It's a little bit different having the dome, but still being grass. I think is kind of a cool feature of that place. And we've enjoyed being here some.
What about the catch that Taylor makes on the warning track in the playoffs in 18? That at Miller Park, full house, the ball's laced into the left center gap kind of, and he runs it down and makes a unbelievable catch. Are you in the dugout up on the stairs, elbows over the rail watching this, or what are you thinking when that ball goes off the bat?
Yeah, that whole sequence was pretty wild from Julio coming in, he was dealing with some stuff with his family. I don't really want to get into, but for him to be out there was incredible on its own. And Christian Yelich, reigning MVP, for that whole thing to kind of unfold like it did was pretty incredible. And, obviously the catch was what it was, but just a cool time, especially being a rookie and not knowing any better and not knowing how cool that really was at the time. I think makes it even that more special now looking back on it.
Last time we talked, we touched on Tommy a little bit. He was there for that game, but wasn't there to get the rings. How does this affect the culture and the organization? We talked about the culture of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we all know what Tommy Lasorda meant to it. Does it personally touch you, even though you haven't been there, let's say 20 years, you're still a young man. But Tommy Lasorda is that influential, right? To where it touches everybody and hits everybody kind of hard.
Yeah. That's one of those things that it's hard to explain kind of what a guy like that means to a group and to an organization when they've essentially dedicated their life in the service of other people and wanting to achieve something as a group. And just a special human. I don't know if we'll ever have one quite like him, but I know for a lot of us, the fact that the last game he saw, we won a World Series is about as good as we were going to do. So, I think we all kind of find some solace in that. And, Tommy was a great man and a great Dodger for a long time. And, for me personally, I'm blessed to have met him and been around him as much as I was.
When you see Vin walk across the grass to get his ring, that's also has to say something about like the culture of that place, right? You're in Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium, one of the most sought after programs in the history of sports, really. I mean, the Yankees and the Dodgers are looked at as like the organizations, in my opinion. There's a lot of great teams and a lot of great managements and a lot of great organizations. I get that. But the Dodgers, it's different there. That stadium's different. The culture's different. Vin Scully's been there, I don't know how long, but it's got to be nearing 60, 70 years. That might be an exaggeration, but you talk about a Dodger. What did that make you feel like seeing that guy walk across, getting his ring?
Yeah, you know what's crazy about that day? So I actually started that game, right? So all the hoopla and all that, I'm out there in the bullpen trying to pitch and trying to get ready to go win us the home opener. And I know looking at the pictures and talking to guys how special that kind of whole event was before the game, and kind of a cool kind of honor for me to get to pitch that game. But part of I missed out a little bit and didn't get to do the whole thing. But it was just time for us to win one, I think, and seemingly kind of fit in just the way that it should have. And it's just been a cool experience.
Well, big congratulations to you. I mean, you think about your career over the past 5, 6, 7 years, NCAA titles, All-American titles, pitching in Omaha is an unbelievable experience. I don't know if you are an old school baseball guy, but I would have rather seen you pitch in Rosenblatt than the new stadium in Omaha, just because I've been to both. And I think the culture and the atmosphere was so much cooler then. I don't know if you've heard that. Have you heard that? Did you wish you got to pitch in Rosenblatt as opposed? I mean, the new stadium is state of the art. Don't get me wrong, but Rosenblatt was Rosenblatt. What have you heard about that place? And do you wish you got to pitch there?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a pitcher, I think I'm glad I didn't. That place,
the ball sailed.
But no, I mean, I think kind of the Vanderbilt ties to Rosenblatt were non-existent, right? We had never gone to the World Series there. But we were in the first World Series at the new stadium. And I remember watching that as a kid, committed to go to Vanderbilt. Connor Harrell hit the first home run in the history of that stadium in the World Series for Vandy. So, I remember that and that being kind of the link to what Omaha meant in my head for us, and to wear that uniform there, kind of always meant we were going to do it at the new place. So, the Rosenblatt kind of legacy is still intact, but we've done some good things at that stadium.
Let's talk stats for 1 second, Walker Buehler. As a pitcher, as competitive as you are, you're a nice guy. You're a clean-cut dude. Don't get me wrong. I know that you have a sweet side, but I guarantee you that when you're between the chalk, it's all business. It's all team. It's all about the win column. This is what fills the seats. This is what gets the paychecks. This is what keeps management happy. 31 innings pitched, and you're 1-0 in the 2021 campaign. You're coming off of a World Series championship. We talked about this, the pressure with the Dodgers of repeating or winning again. The COVID season compared to a full 162-game season before the playoffs. How does it make a guy like you feel? And I know that you're all about the team, but is it hard to digest when you go out and pitch into you are literally pitching into the 6th or 7th inning nightly. You have 31 strikeouts in 31 innings this year. You had 10 strikeouts the other night against Cincinnati. I believe it's the new season high, if I remember right. But how does it make you feel when you go to that dugout with the lead, the bullpen middle relief comes in, then the closer comes in, you end up losing that lead somewhere in there, and your record still is showing 1-0? That's not Cy Young numbers. It's not going to be Cy Young numbers if it continues that way. I'm not trying to put a negative spin on it. No, I'm just saying, does all of this stuff go through a pitcher's head like that, Walker, when you see how good you're throwing, but you're not getting the wins?
You know what? I to be honest with you, I think for me, it's more about kind of the improvement, the worrying about myself in a different light. And what I mean by that is I don't feel like I've thrown the ball very well our team scuffling as of late, not playing our best ball, gives me a lead twice in that Reds game. I cough them up both times. So that kind of thing is kind of the dominant force, right? It's not about me getting a win, especially in a game, to be completely honest, that I didn't pitch well enough to win a Major League Baseball game. So, that stuff can get frustrating, but the only time that it is frustrating, or that it's even close to warranted, is when there's zeros and you didn't give up any runs. Because anytime that you've given up a run, you've put it out there that game can be lost. And if you're the starting pitcher and you give up runs, that's on you. So, I just look at it a little bit differently. I think for me, it's about trying to put together a group of 30 quality starts that can look back and say that I put us in a good position to win. And, if we win those games, I don't think it really matters who gets the win in the win column.
I love your analogy of that. It's such a great way to look at the game of coughing up 2 leads against Cincinnati in Dodger Stadium. Where do you think the improvement needs to be right now? Because I'm watching your breaking stuff, your fastball. I often think about pitching. Like, I could get up there and do that. I got pretty good accuracy. I could hit the cutoff man from the outfield in his chest every time. I can pinpoint my pitches. I got pretty good command of the strike zone, but I throw 77 at best, maybe break glass on a jugs gun, maybe. You're facing major league hitters. These are the best hitters in the world, hands down. Your accuracy has to be there. Your placement has to be there. Your command of the strike zone has to be there. Then on top of that, when you're in the bullpen before the game is the starter, you got to know if your stuff's on. Your bullpen coach is watching you. The bullpen catcher, maybe the starting catcher a little bit's watching you. Has your stuff been on? Is your breaking ball working? Is your cut fastball working? What's working and what's not so far in this campaign?
Yeah, I've had some spots here and there where things have been great. My stuff has been good. I've kind of felt in command of it, and then there's times you don't, right? But kind of going to what you're alluding to about the quality of the major league hitter, right? There's certain mistakes that hitters of that quality don't allow you to make. So I can throw a fastball as good as I want in a certain spot. If I do that with 2 strikes, if I do that in the wrong count with not having leverage, they will beat you and they will take advantage of you. And so that's where I feel like I've struggled a little bit, is 2 strikes, putting guys away, making too quality of a pitch or too accessible a pitch in certain counts. And, we'll keep getting better, but that's kind of where I haven't, kind of done what I'm supposed to do.
There's a lot of talk in Major League Baseball programming and the different affiliate stations around the country. You can watch MLB on cable TV, and a lot of the talk you hear, when certain teams are playing, is about Vanderbilt, how strong that program is. We've talked about you coming out of there, your success there. Aluminum bats with legitimate hitters. A lot of these hitters make it to the major leagues in some cases, at least to AA, AAA. Walker Buehler, is it a huge difference with what you were facing? Because one of the best hitters in baseball right now is in Cincinnati. You faced him the other night several times. Is it a huge difference, that aluminum bat and those stud hitters in NCAA Division I, College World Series, under the lights, as opposed to under the lights in Dodger Stadium against the best hitters in the game? But now they have wood bats, which, some could say that you get away with a lot more with aluminum. Okay, mm-hmm. It's a lot harder to find that sweet spot on wood. I'm sure you've broken many a bats in your professional campaign, or even in the wooden bat leagues you played in, Alaska, Cape Cod, wherever. Is it a lot different, Walker?
Yeah, it's a different game. The inside part of the plate with an aluminum bat is just the risk reward ratio is so different and skewed because that bat can't break, and they can, for lack of a better term, everybody talks about they fist the ball, right? So when you do that with a wooden bat, the thing's going to snap if you get it in there. And it just eliminates a lot of the power and the torque, obviously, that those guys can create inside. And the other part of that is they have to protect themselves in there from getting their bat broken. So you can exploit the outer third sometimes if there's just a little bit more cat and mouse with a wooden bat, I think, because you're trying to stay in and out. Instead of in college, you're really just trying to stay down away and keep the ball away from where guys have power. So it is different. Obviously, the BB core bat is a little bit different than what they had previously. I think talking about Rosenblatt and all those old school kind of slugfests that happened there were not with BB core. They were with the drop fives and then the BSR, I think is what they were called. But those balls or those bats didn't really leave much room for the pitchers to have a whole lot of success. So it's definitely a different game, but I think a lot of the guys you would ask enjoy the wood bat, and I think that's obviously never going to change.
When we start talking about your approach in that pregame, bullpen, and you're watching your stuff, but you don't feel like you have it. I'm sure you felt like that before, right? Like, man, it's just not there. Tell me about that mindset, Walker, and does it maybe take an inning or two to get out and get your adrenaline going, hear the crowd, get the team in the dugout? What can change, and what can you do internally and personally to get your stuff on target if you're not feeling it right before the first inning starts?
Yeah, the old adage, if you have 10 starts, you're going to have 2 of them you feel great, 2 of them you feel terrible, and 6 you've got to kind of got to figure out. So that stuff happens, man. You come out of the bullpen not feeling super great about where you're at a lot because this game, it's just a long season and it's a lot of repetitive movements that sometimes your body's not 100% primed to do perfectly that day. Right. So, the adrenaline can kick in for you. That can certainly happen. I know a lot of times I've talked to a lot of guys about having a bad bullpen and sometimes wanting that because it kind of puts you in that fight or flight a little bit. You're staring down a lineup, feeling like you don't have anything behind the ball and knowing that things can go really bad for you in the major leagues really quickly. So, some guys enjoy that fight or flight. I happen to be one of the guys that loves when that kind of happens, but I think we would all prefer to be great all the time and feel great in the bullpen and throw great in the game, but that's simply just not how this thing works. And, the great ones figure out how to do more with those 6 starts that they're a little unsure of than everybody else.
You just talked about repetitive movements. You compare, let's say, being a major league pitcher to being a NCAA Division I softball pitcher All-American. The softball pitcher can throw several games in 1 week, not to mention maybe 2 or 3 starts in a day sometimes. That is a very more natural movement of the arm than coming over the top, finger to the thigh or thumb to the thigh, fingers to the sky, everything that we learned how to throw a baseball. It's not natural. As a major league pitcher, with all of the trainers, all of the attention to medical, all of the unbelievable surgeries that can be and have been performed, you still are out there in your 20s throwing a ball literally in the mid-90s. You're throwing the ball 95, 96 miles an hour. That means that your arm is moving 95, 96 miles an hour several times a night. If you can picture me right now whipping my arm, I'm going to be in some serious discomfort for a minute. I don't know if my rotator cuff or my labrum or something's going to be messed up during this time, Walker Buehler. But if I went out and threw 100 rounds of beep or 100 balls right now with my nephew or whatever, I'm going to feel some pain because I'm not used to it. You're used to it right now. You went to spring training. You're in shape. What toll does it take on your body, though, right now? When you get in that dugout after that seventh inning is pitched, does it hurt, Walker? Is it discomfort, or what is the feeling of a major league arm?
Yeah, the soreness stuff is real. I think for me, not the night of the game. The night of the game, your body will kind of be a little bit sore relative to before, right? For me, it's a mid part of my left back just from rotating. But within a couple days, for me, it's typically the second day is when that kind of real soreness, I guess, kicks in. The first day for me, at least personally, you'll know that you did something, but it's nothing compared to what happens the next day. And you just gotta, over the years and over a season, learn what your body needs, what you're doing that's putting yourself in a better or worse position to be able to recover and perform. And it's interesting how this game has changed, right? You hear all the old war stories about major league guys on the road and going out and living wild and free. And to be honest with you just can't afford to do stuff like that nowadays, because the bar for performance is so much higher that you have to recover better, right? So now it's about what we're eating and how we're sleeping and what treatments we're doing and strength and conditioning, things like that, as opposed to just rolling into the park and playing catch and getting after it every 5 days. So, it's a different time in our game. And I don't think performance, at least on the pitching side, has ever been quite what it is right now.
You made a comment there about the old days of you might go hammer down 7 beers after a start, or you look at somebody with the mentality of a Pete Rose or a Lenny Dykstra, maybe even George Brett. These guys, Wade Boggs, these guys were probably going to the hotel lobby bar a little bit after a game. Not to say it doesn't happen anymore, and I'm sure that you guys can enjoy a libation every once in a while, but with it changing like that, and you kind of see the difference in that time of the game compared to this time of the game. With where you're at now, do you wish, and I really want to know this, I've always thought about this about starting pitchers, because if you pitch 7 innings against Cincinnati on Wednesday night, you have an off day on Thursday, a travel day, you get to Milwaukee, you're not pitching Friday and Saturday. You're going to get 5 days rest in between your start, 5-man rotation, 4-man rotation, but you're going to get 5 days with the travel day. Do you wish that you could spend a couple of those away from the yard? Do you wish you could? Do you love the game so much, Walker, that you have to be in that dugout still? You love that camaraderie, that team feeling, and just that unity of what baseball brings when you're at a place like Miller Park tonight. You don't have to be pitching; you still want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple layers to it, right? First, you've got obviously your team, and we're going to play 162 games, and there's going to be a core group of guys that are there for all of them, right? There's going to be some guys in and out. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. But at the end of the day, our team is going to play 162 games, and we're going to try and win a bunch of them. So, yeah, you've got to be there. You need to be there. You want to be there. And for me personally, about 30 of them I will even be involved in. So 132 of them I won't even be involved in. Crazy. Right? Then you've got your kind of starting pitcher group, right? And you've got 5 guys that we're all alternating. And today it's this guy's day. And there's an element to that you want to be there for your guys that go through the same things that you do, and that you get to pick their brain and they pick yours throughout the week leading up to it. And how they're feeling and what they're working on and all this kind of stuff. So, I think it's part of the game, and it's, a part of the game that some guys like even more than competing. And I know a lot of people a lot of guys, when they retire, all they can talk about is missing the clubhouse. And that's really what they're talking about, right? Knowing the little intricacies of how a guy's feeling, how life is, how that's affecting, what they've overcome, but all these little things that people just don't know. And there's no way they could, right? But it's an interesting life, man. And I've really enjoyed it.
Okay. So you leave LA after a travel day, chartered jet. Take me through some instances or details of the Walker Buehler baseball life. What do you do on that jet? Is it the team only? Are there wives allowed on these jets? Is that only like a couple times a year or season that's allowed? But just this week, traveling to Milwaukee, are you playing gin rummy with a teammate? Are you playing pinochle with some cards? This is old school stuff, Walker Buehler.
Yeah.
By yourself? Are you on Netflix? Are you chilling out with some Netflix with your headphones on watching? Or are you watching highlights? Are you watching your last start? Are you watching the Foul Life duck hunting TV show on the Outdoor Channel? What's going on the plane ride, Walker?
I am part of the poker crew, so we have a little poker game that gets going on the flights. You'll see a lot of different methods. You'll see a lot of the coaches kind of doing scouting, advanced scouting stuff. So they're watching who we're about to play and kind of putting together their stuff. You'll see a lot of guys Netflix. You'll see a lot of guys just straight asleep. But I'm a guy that is part of the poker game. So we'll get a little Texas Hold'em going on the plane and kind of pass our time that way. But it's kind of to each his own. We fly in a pretty much a basic plane that anyone would fly on, and we just happen to be the only people on there, and that's kind of how we travel. And some trips every year, the wives and family are allowed to come on. And then a lot of times the wives would be allowed to fly home, so back to LA with us, but not to a city. So I don't know the exact origin of that kind of rule and regulation, but that's just kind of how it's always been done. And it's a cool deal. And you just pull up and get on a big old plane and hop out somewhere.
I've talked to other major leaguers that some of them enjoy the idea of the different cities. You've been to these cities a bunch of times. I mean, you're in the National League, you're in the National League. I mean, you're going to go to Milwaukee, you're going to go to New York and play the Mets. You're going to go to Philadelphia or Pittsburgh and play the Phillies or the Pirates. There's all kinds of cities, but there's all kinds of cool culture in all of these different cities. Pittsburgh, it might be a gyro because they got great Greek food there. Philadelphia, it might be the cheesesteak. Milwaukee's known for bars and beer drinking, but it's also got great culinary flair. Do you personally like that part of America and being able to travel? Do you take part in this, Walker, or are you a hotel lobby room service guy, or do you kind of go to that place that's known for a great steak or a great burger or something? I know nutrition's a big part of being a professional athlete, but do you take part in some of the great cultures of these cities you get to visit?
I think you're always going to say you wish you could do more, right? But the schedule and the timing of this thing, I think, is kind of lost on people that aren't involved in it, right? We don't show up. The players, we don't go for batting practice in the game, right? We if we have a 7:00 game, we're there at 1:00 and we're back at the hotel at 11. So yeah, we can go and grab a breakfast or grab a lunch maybe, but this idea that in a 3-day stretch, if we play at 7, at 6, and then at 1, right? That's a typical kind of schedule for a road series. I'll be at the field from 1 till 11, from 12 till 10:30, and then from 9 until 4. That's my work schedule, right? That's my 9 to 5. So there's just not time to do a lot of these things that we would like to do. You'll catch some of that culture in a clubhouse, right? In Philadelphia, they make cheesesteaks in there. Like, that's a nice thing for us. We get to enjoy that a little bit, but it's just hard. And you've got to really focus on making time for that kind of stuff. If that's what you want to do, right? If you want to really embrace being able to see a lot of this country, it's it's a commitment to do that. And, I think it takes a level of success to even stare that down and say, like, all right, I want to make this a priority now, right? Because the moment you struggle, the moment you mentally are going to say, well, if I would have just not gone to that lunch and gone to the field or not gone to that dinner late and didn't get to sleep and blah, blah, blah. There's always a reason that we will blame ourselves and our failures on, or just simply things that we want to improve or give ourselves a better chance to succeed. So, I guess to answer your question, I don't get to do a whole lot, but we try and sneak some stuff in here and there when we can.
Okay, so tell me then, today on an off day, from the looks of it, you're in a hotel. No, I'm not going to tell anybody where he's at. I don't even know where he's at. Do you check in under an alias, Walker Buehler?
So our keys are kind of sitting there when we get there. I have had an alias in the past. I will not.
Is it Texas Ranger? Do you think anybody would get? It is not Texas Ranger.
It is not.
I think people could figure that one out. Oh, that's got to be Walker. But take me through the day now. So you wake up. It's 9:30 in the morning there on a Friday. Do you wake up and go get a coffee? Do you, as a major leaguer, when you know that a lot of times, tell me if I'm wrong, Walker Buehler, but a lot of time do the locals know where the team is staying?
Yeah, I mean, I think teams have traditionally kind of stayed in the same places for forever. So, certain cities, there's going to be a pretty strong contingent of guys wanting autographs and things like that outside the hotel.
So do you take a chance of going down there in your slippers or your flip-flops and your workout shorts in the morning? You got your bed hair going on, or do you jump up and you're in the shower and you're feeling good, looking good right away? Do you go to the lobby? Take me through your day before you get to the park today on an off day.
Yeah. So for me now, do this thing and hop off of here. I'll probably go get a coffee and kind of get my day going, but we'll end up heading to the field about 12:30. They'll have a lunch here for us before that. So go grab some of that and eat before we head over there. And then it's kind of, time to work. So I'll lift today and get some treatment stuff done on my arm, play some catch, maybe throw off the mound a little bit and do a little shoulder work and then get ready for the game and kind of hang out. So, that's when I kind of change from player to fan and teammate at that point. But yeah, that's kind of the day.
Do you like the part of leaving the hotel, if you had it your way, because you see all of these stories of professional athletes, they get bombarded by fans. The fans are a huge part of your game, your culture, your livelihood. Their ass has got to be in those seats for you to make the money that you make. And it's a pretty good freaking living. Do you want them outside the hotel getting autographs before you get on the bus? Is the mentality of a baseball player so keyed in on focus that you don't want that before the game starts or before you even get on? Or is it a little bit lax to where you can afford to do that and you want to see the fans and take care of them a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that depends on kind of your mindset at the time, right? If you've had a bad game, it's hard to want to go over there and be this big, cool guy that signs an autograph, right? You almost feel disingenuous a little bit doing that. I know guys prefer to sign at the field and want to sign for kids and stuff like that. But as someone that kind of understands the memorabilia industry a little bit or whatever, I do understand why guys want an autograph, right? And having been a kid that wanted autographs, I get it. So, I think signing for people at the field is a big thing and an important thing and something that we probably don't do enough, but it is a little odd sometimes to walk outside of your hotel and people be holding a picture of you. I think it can be a little overwhelming. Just the kind of knowledge of where you're at all the time is a little odd, but that's part of the game. And that is, as you said, the fans are such a huge piece for us. And we're so fortunate to do what we do and kind of do it at the level that we do it. And it's a fine balance and trying to figure that out. But obviously with this COVID thing, it's just made it even more interesting because now we're really not even supposed to do that stuff, right? Before it's just kind of a personal, like, oh, I want to do it, I don't, whatever. Now we're not supposed to, and that makes it tough because you want to do that at times, and sometimes, it's an important thing. That's an important part of our game, but we'll get back to normal here soon enough.
You made a comment in that statement right there, Walker Buehler, about the memorabilia game. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, and correct me and educate me if I'm wrong or going down the wrong path here. I've been at signings where I've been part of it with major leaguers. Lines wrapped around the building. They're so excited. This guy hasn't done a signing in this town forever. And I look at that guy and see his reaction of like, he knew who was an authentic fan that was just there to get an autograph as a 9-year-old kid. But then it was almost like you have like these Star Trek guys, these Trekkies that go to these national conventions and like they live and breathe this professional athlete. There was a movie called The Fan with Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes in California in the Bay Area of San Francisco. Can you tell, Walker? Can you tell if it's one of those guys that's just going to turn around and take that and sell it on the market or sell it on eBay? It's going to be a 19 or a 2018 Walker Buehler Topps or Upper Deck card. His signature's now on it. Can you tell? Is that what you're talking about, the different levels of the memorabilia game?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, if you're at the park, right, and you walk down the line and sign for a bunch of kids standing there, you're going to get maybe a card, maybe a baseball, maybe a used baseball, a whatever, a sign my shirt, my jersey. When you start moving into guys that have books, right? Books of cards, and while you're sitting there, they've been yelling at you for you to sign, right? Walk, will you come sign this? And you go over there and they flip through 4 pages and there's 12 different players that you're seeing all neatly tucked into this thing. And then they get to your page and ask you to sign 5 items. It's a little interesting, right? Because the nature of the autograph and the beauty of the autograph, right, is that when a kid hands you something and I sign it, when I was a kid, it was the same thing for me. There was a moment in time that I was standing with this player, right? And that's kind of what it signifies, right? And you take that kind of good moment and can be a lifetime memory for a kid. And that's kind of switched over into, hey, I need these 5 cards signed. I'm a 38-year-old man, and I just cut 2 kids to get you to sign these. And that's where I think a lot of us have a tough time. And with the internet and that market kind of being out there and so available, it's made it harder and harder for guys to go and sign stuff for kids and do things like that. I don't know how you kind of remedy it, right, or how you fix it, but I know a lot of us would love to walk out and sign 20 things for kids and move on with our day. And it's just not a reality anymore.
So you can't remedy or fix it. Does the organization have hints or advice? Do you sign for that 38-year-old man that's got the 3-ring binder with all of these sleeves full of, whether it's a Sports Illustrated cover or a Walker Buehler Vanderbilt picture, whatever it is? Do you still sign for that guy, even though in the back of your mind you're like, well, something's fishy here, but you don't want to be that player that turns somebody away? Or do you kind of just try to, like, he's there, there's an elephant in the room, but you just give your attention and focus to the 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds standing there in their little league uniforms?
Yeah. I mean, that's what you try and do. That's what I try and do, right? I don't want to be an asshole, but sometimes there's just people and situations you don't want to be in, right? And it's also our time, and fans deserve that, right? We want to be able to give our time to fans and make a kid's day and all that stuff. But, I don't think anyone's going to sit out there for an hour and sign for every single person that asks. And we kind of do what we can. But, as I said, I think this past year and a half, 2 years, that whole thing has changed. This COVID thing, it's just changed the whole dynamic of our game. And, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens when we get back to new normal.
Staying on the autograph track for a minute. I know I got a little bit of time left with you. Is there anybody that you would bug for an autograph? And I don't say bug, but it is kind of a weird deal, right? It's like, oh, look, okay, let's just take this for example. I'm a duck hunter. We have a TV show and we have products and we have, whatever it is, our waiters, our duck calls, whatever. I get approached by people when I'm scouting or I'm in a restaurant or I'm at a show, like a NWTF convention, I'm in the booth making an appearance. To me, it's still like, I'm just a duck hunter. Like, it's so weird to me that somebody would want me to sign their hunting hat or have an 8x11 glossy of me blowing a duck call signed by me. It's still, I'm not against it. I'm not saying I'm weirded out by it. Like, wow, somebody really wants that. Have a certain way about autographs if it's for me. If I know the person, if I've got to sit down with you and talk, and of course I want something, hey, in a shadow box, Walker Buehler's been on the podcast, it's in our studio, It's great. But it still is weird to me to walk up to somebody and go, hey, can I get your autograph? There's some people I would do it. Elvis Presley, George Bush, Willie Nelson. There's people out there that I would love to have their autograph just to say, man, I was around that dude. Is there anybody that you're like that with, Walker, that you see like, well, there's Mookie. Mookie's like, he's bowls 300. He can dunk a basketball. Yeah. He's got a good chance of maybe going to the HOF someday. Yeah. Do you get like that with anybody that you're like buddies with?
Yeah. For me at home now, I have a bunch of, I like having bats, just a bat of guys that I played with, right. Or played against a lot that I respect. And, you're trying to kind of collect stuff in a way that, you'll display it, right. Or do something with it. So, guys that I played with or know well that I'll play against will just, for example, Aaron Nola, I played with growing up a little bit. So we played in Philadelphia. I have the clubhouse manager run up, buy an Aaron Nola jersey, take it over there to him. He signs it. I take it home. I got his autograph, right? So that's kind of how the autograph game works in professional baseball more so. So, I have some bats from guys I played against a lot. Trevor Story and Arenado or two that I can think of right now, plus just kind of our teammates and stuff at the end of the year. Hey man, will you sign a bat for me? I want to have one of your bats at my house. Right. And to me, it's a lot cooler to have that with whatever they've written on there than simply their signature on their bat. Right. But it is cool stuff to have and kind of enjoy that here and there. And, it's just an interesting game. Obviously baseball and autographs are kind of synonymous, right? You're talking about the duck call thing. Not many people are probably hunting down a duck calling autograph picture, right? But the baseball autograph has kind of been a staple of our culture for a long time. And it is an interesting deal and an interesting game, but something that I wouldn't trade, signing a ball for a kid for anything.
I love that. Baseball is also synonymous with a little bit of smack talk, ribbon in the dugout, jawing with your buddies. Have any of these guys that you've requested an autograph, does Arenado come back with his bat and say, thanks for leaving that one hanging over the middle of the plate? Do you recall any like smart ass messages that you've gotten back on a jersey or a bat, or are they all kind of real nice and real polite, passionate things like, Walker, it's great to have you in the game and great to play against you. Love being a competitor of yours. Love being your teammate, Mookie Betts. Or does anybody ever, mess with you a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, especially your teammates are going to do that. Right. So I remember, Machado wrote, bet you won't throw me a fastball or something like that on there, but that's what you want, right? You want that in your house to have the story. And yeah, I played with such and such for this long at this time. And yeah, he wrote this on this stupid bat and whatever. So, some guys will just sign it. Some guys will write something on there, but that's kind of the one that sticks out for sure.
Well, you got a lot of players on a baseball team. You haven't played with all of them, but you also never grew up playing with Machado, but you played against him. How do you put it in your mind? Do you say, well, he's one of the greatest. He signed a huge contract. He might have a chance to be a Hall of Famer. He was a teammate. Like, do you go to San Diego and ask Tatis? Because Tatis lights the ball up right now, right? Is he one of the better hitters in baseball right now? And do you ask him for his autograph because of his talent level? Or what does it take to get Walker Buehler to ask for your autograph?
No, obviously I played with Machado for the half season in 18. So asking him was a little bit more simple of a decision by just walking up to him in the locker room, I guess. But yeah, it just depends. Obviously, these guys in the division, we're going to play a lot, and that can mean you either learn to have a lot of respect for them or you don't like them too much. So, we'll see what happens. But like, for example, I met Story and Arenado on a trip with Nike and Blackmon. So all three of them went on this trip. I was on this trip. I asked Story and Arenado for bats, but not Blackmon because Blackmon hits me really, really well. So the other two guys don't hit me quite as good as Blackmon. So you don't want to give him that little concession that, hey man, I want your autograph when he hits you like that. So,
I had no idea.
Yeah. So a guy that maybe you've had a little bit more success against, you assume they might respect you a little bit more and not mind doing it for you. Or, you don't want a guy to think he kind of owns you, even if he's done well off you.
But he could go the other way to where now Charlie's sitting there going, wait a minute. Is Walker messing with me? It might get in his head a little bit to where the next time you're up there,
these hitters love that. They love to feel comfortable, right? So if they think that you're perfectly, on the straight and narrow and like them and want to be cool with them, then they kind of know you'll never hit them in the head, right? So that's kind of the element of that you can lose when you become too close to some of those guys.
Let's just take him for an example real quick. And I know that you're not going to give you don't want to give him anything more, but is his approach one of do you really respect that kind of approach to the game of the tenacity and I know that there's a lot of players that have it, but Chuck Nasty has this double personality to me to where when he's between the chalks, he's truly a different cat. Do you enjoy that part of Charlie Blackmon? Even though he has had some success off of you, he's a talented guy. He's an all-star. I mean, he's a 300 lifetime hitter. That's a legit thing to be able to say. What is it about him that you like or dislike? Is there anything that you can tell me personally or specifically about Charlie Blackmon, Chuck Nasty?
Yes. First off, him being a left-handed hitter, they're not all kind of created equal, right? And some of the things that I do well happen to line up with what he does really well, right? So our strengths kind of line up, and a lot of times that's going to be a little bit advantage hitter because they need to go 1 for 3 and they've had a great day, right? And if I make a mistake, he's certainly kind of pounced on those in the past. I think the biggest thing about those guys, especially in Colorado, is that we kind of respect more than anything is how difficult it is to play there, right? And how physically hard it is on your body. And for him to have played so many years there at such a high level, I think it's really a testament to what he does off the field and how he takes care of himself. And at the All-Star game in 2019, got to meet him in kind of more of the team setting and see, what he does to maintain his body, and it's just more, and it has to be, and that's what's crazy about playing in Colorado. But I think we all have this kind of unspoken respect for the guys that are able to do it for a long time there.
I asked him this one time if he considered himself a veteran. When does that title get placed on Walker Buehler or Charlie Blackmon? When do you become a veteran? I know that there's the rookie. You've been in professional baseball for a few years. You worked your way up through the rookie ball and the low A and the single A and the double A and the triple A. Maybe you've jumped one of those sections. When does the word veteran get put on a player, Walker? Do you have to prove yourself that you know the game, or is it just because you've got 5 years in the league? Is it 10 years in the league? What makes you a veteran? Because Charlie Blackmon tells me he feels he's a veteran, and I don't think that he is. I think he might just be getting in his prime, but you've also said that he's been doing it at that level for a good bit of time now. Is he a veteran, and what makes you a veteran?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways to look at it, right? There's the guys that sign a free agent contract, right? That's kind of the first benchmark of truly being in this game a long time, right? When you can get 6 years and then you can make a decision on where you want to play, that's kind of a veteran thing to some guys. Some guys believe in the idea that 10 years of service, so playing 10 full seasons, is kind of the mark of a guy that really, really did it and really, really played this game at a high level. I think for me personally, I'm not a veteran by any means yet. I will say that in terms of the game and the playoffs and things like that, like I've been in a lot of situations that maybe not many people have been in with my service level, right? So if this is my fourth season, I've got 3 full seasons. I've pitched in a lot of playoff games for having three years, which is a testament to our team more than anything. And the fact that for some reason they keep trying to give me the ball, but I think I have a lot more starts than in the playoffs than some guys that have been in the game for 10 years. So I think it really depends on what you're basing it on or basing it for, right? So, that guy's a vet. Like, yeah, the guy's been here 12 years. Like, of course he is. But is there guys that play differently, that play more maturely than their age dictate? Sure, I think so. And I hope in some small way I kind of would fit into that category. But I am in no way a veteran in this game.
Have you got to play Atlanta yet this year, Walker Buehler? In our last conversation, you said that the guy that you have this, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but you played college ball with Dansby. Is he still that guy that you want to strike out 4 times in a game? What is your mindset of Dansby right now going into this new season? They got a pretty good offensive team over there in Atlanta. Yeah. You guys are the returning world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Do you smile at him? Do you hug him in between the lines during calisthenics before the game starts? How's that going to go down when you see him for the first time this season, knowing that you're a world champion now?
No, I think it'll kind of be the same as it usually is. Obviously, we played them kind of at the second highest level you can, right? Playing them in the NLCS and being down 3-1 is that kind of situation is about as intense as you're going to get. So, you got too many. He just has too many hits off me in the playoffs this year. I didn't like it. So we're gonna have to figure something out. But no, I think once you get between them, man, we're wearing different jerseys, and that is what it is. But we wish him and them the best until they play us.
All right, let's end it like this. What are you seeing so far in this young season? You're 30 games in. What are you seeing? What's surprising you? What is impressing you? Is there somebody on your team that just daily you're just like, wow, still, he just impresses me? Because it's hard to impress a guy that's seen what you've seen and done what you've done. It's got to be hard. And talk to me a little bit about the division of the NL West. There are some stout teams in there. San Diego's got a pretty good offensive battery. San Francisco's playing out of their cleats right now, out of their spikes. what's surprising you? What are you seeing so far, and where do we go from here for the next 132 games?
Yeah, for us, it's big. It's kind of a lot of the same in terms of, we keep adding veteran pieces, right? We got Bauer and JT back and all this, but we're also developing guys, right? Zach McKinstry came up and before he got hurt was leading our team in homers and RBIs in largely a role that he wasn't supposed to have right off the jump, right? And just played well and played his way into it. Dustin May, similarly, obviously he's been here a little bit longer and contributed at a pretty good clip for a couple of years now, but he's throwing the ball really well and kind of developing into that guy that is going to be a problem for some other teams just because of kind of the freakiness of what he does and the velocity and movement. And he's just putting it together a little bit. So I think those two guys, and obviously, if you did watch the playoffs, you kind of saw the second coming out party of Julio Urias. So, we really like our staff and our depth, and it's being tested a little bit right now with some of the guys we have on the shelf, but they'll be back eventually and we'll be good to go.
So you're not worried about the Giants or Tatis in San Diego? No, they have a really, really good team over there, man, and a different team than us. They're loud and a little bit younger, maybe, and at the end of the day, they beat us last weekend, but we'll play them a lot of times and we'll play a lot of games, and we'll see what happens. So you're happy so far. It's one of those things. I got to go back to this before we end. Your analogy of your starts this year, the 31 innings pitched, 31 strikeouts, 1-0, a lot of no decisions. I love the way you laid that out for people that might not necessarily get that you did give up 2 leads in that game against Cincinnati. You did go out with the lead, excuse me, but your offense did have your back throughout that game. And you're saying, well, maybe I let them down a little bit by giving up those other 2 leads. I freaking love that analogy. That's what life is all about. That's what baseball is all about. I freaking love your approach, dude. It's amazing to see. When I watched you pitch the other night, I was with my nephew, and my nephew's like, he doesn't even look old enough to be in the major leagues. Like he looks so young up there. I'm like, you do, man. It's like you've alluded to it in here. You've pitched so many playoff innings. You've accomplished. You're a world champion. Obviously you're a National League champion. You're a Vanderbilt NCAA champion. It's pretty good freaking resume so far, Walker Buehler. Your nickname is Butane.
Yeah, our AAA. My AAA pitching coach gave me that nickname. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of stuck.
You gave me a glove that my nephew, again, same nephew, is begging me for it. I'm like, it's going in a shadow box. You're not going to, he goes, but it says butane on it. That's so badass. Can you give my 2 people a shout out? Can you just give Chance and Gavin a little shout out before I leave? Chance and Gavin. Yeah,
Chance, Gavin, how you guys doing, man? I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast and kind of watching me try and play some baseball every once in a while. I appreciate it.
I freaking love it. Walker Buehler, keep it up. Go get a cup of coffee. Listen, you got my number. If you need me to fly in there and take care of some of these autograph hounds in the lobby this morning, I'll get on the jet and I'll come over there. All right.
I appreciate it, man.
Let's stay in touch, brother. Keep up the good work. I can't wait to see you this fall. And hopefully we get together after some Mallard Ducks in the off season.
All right, buddy. Later on.
That's Walker Buehler, world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. This has been another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody. Please keep downloading and subscribing to the podcast. Truly appreciate all the support. Thank you, Walker Buehler. Thank you to the Dodgers. Thank you to Major League Baseball. Thank you all for listening. Tom, Jake, hit that button. This is Leith Lofton. What you gonna do when the money's all gone?
I'd rather be poor living off in a hole, rich as hell without a soul. Life on earth won't